All right, and we are going to begin. So the purpose of us meeting today is to do a check-in to see how things are going with your mentees. So we do have 3 more of these. Our next one will be in November. Welcome everyone and happy Friday. Again, I am Emily Gagnon, School Leadership Development Specialist. Happy to be with all of you today. Again, if you have any questions throughout your mentoring process, do not hesitate to reach out to me. I am your contact, and welcome to everyone who is joining us. All right, let's take a moment now to visit our friend, the chat box, or if you'd like to raise your hand and unmute, can share some good news to start off our Friday morning. Payday. Oh, yes, that's a good one. I know. Yes, I know we made that switch from Thursday to Friday. I was like, whew. All right, NWEA testing coming to a close. Amazing. That is a great feeling as well. I know getting those first pieces out of the way are important. Natalie, great start with culture. Good start to NWEA. Oh, regionals. Okay. Is that today, LaDondra?
Yes, it's today going on right now.
Oh, good.
A little bit late.
Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining me today. All right. Planning small groups for NWEA and ready to start on Monday. Ooh, Dibbles. Yes, Sally. Awesome. Getting those groups together. I love doing Dibbles and listening to the kids read. All right. Well, thank you to everyone who has shared. Let's take a moment now to let's see how you're feeling on the squirrel scale today. How are you feeling? So go ahead and type that number into the chat box. Let's get a feel for where our group is on this Friday morning. Fives and 8. Okay. 3s, 8s, a lot of 5s. Yes. Okay. I'm seeing a lot of 5s and 8s are the most common coming up. Everybody is tired out or like, thank God it's Friday, right? Okay, double 5s, double nickels, right? All right, yeah, some of you are in your second week of school. Some of you are in your almost nearing a month of school. So we have people in all different places, and getting back into the group can put us in these spots. So how do you think an activity like this could support you in working with your mentee? You can add your ideas to the chat or feel free to raise your hand and unmute. Let me rephrase the question too. Oh yeah, thank you, Kelly. Okay, so a good way to take a temperature check for them and let you know what kind of support they might need, or a fun way to see where they are in the moment. Yes, yes, and it is a little bit of a fun way, right? Because somebody may say, oh, I'm feeling okay, but like, what do you mean by okay? What does that look like? Yeah, so checking in with our mentees is really important. And Sarah shared a little bit more, just opening up a discussion about disposition can be a good release if they need that moment. Yes, very, very true. All right, in our session today, we are going to cultivate the mentor and mentee relationship. We're going to have some opportunity for you all to network with one another. And then we're going to review upcoming topics and development opportunities. And you may be wondering, well, how are we going to do this? Well, don't worry, I have that answer for you right here. We are going to do this by comparing traditional versus educative mentoring. We are going to talk about viewing and planning for an effective initial mentor-mentee meeting, and many of you have already had that initial meeting, and so we'll talk about how that may look a little bit different moving forward. Sharing your best practices and reviewing the new mentor learning track. This has been my little project, so I'm excited to share that with all of you today. So we'll start this by focusing on your development as a mentor. So here is some information on traditional versus educative mentoring. And this research has been done by one of my team members on the school leadership development team, Dr. Jess Engel. And her research focuses on new teachers, which you may all know because she is over the new teacher learning that happens before school starts. So while her research is mainly for new teachers, it can be applicable to new deans as well. So I want you to take a moment. I'm not going to read to you as you are all adults, and read through the traditional and educative mentoring pieces here. And as you read, I want you to think about how these two types of mentoring are different. When you're done reading, go ahead and jot some of your ideas down in the chat box about what do you notice about these? How are they different? There is not a participant guide. We're just looking on the screen. You're welcome. All right, so we're having some responses come into the chat. Educative seems more exploratory versus this is what you do. Yeah. Digs deeper and is more collaborative. Empowers both participants to grow. Yes, educative is a partnership. And reflective versus directive. Thinking through ideas. Yeah, we're seeing a lot of these things. Educative allows for the mentees to have a say in what happens next. Yes, the shift of our traditional thinking. Digging deeper, more reflective. All of these are the things that I definitely wanted you to notice. What I like to call the traditional mentoring is kind of like a buddy, right? You go to your buddy when you need something, or when you first start a job and they say, here's where the teacher's lounge is, here's where the restroom is. This is how you find the interactive classroom framework in my NHA. This is how you enter a behavior. But what happens is that kind of fades out over time, right? It's more short term. And you're not challenging them to think for themselves. You're just answering their questions. And sometimes that's what they need in that moment. But after those first couple months wear off, if you continue doing those things, you're not really working to help grow your mentee. So as we work to become more of an educative mentor, we want to help develop them and retain them, right? Because if we don't help them grow, they end up going. So help them grow or watch them go. And we want them to stay here and continue that success in our schools. So by becoming an educative mentor, we create this disposition of inquiry, right? There's not necessarily a right answer, but we start asking them questions. And in asking them questions, we can lead them to their own thinking and own ideas. We understand that leadership is a complex process. This is not just a one size fits all. There's many ways to get to a certain point. And finally, we come with an understanding that we also are learners in this partnership. They are not the only ones that have something to gain, and often we think of new ideas for our own selves as mentors to grow in our practice. So I want you to continue thinking about this as a mentor is a thought partner. So let's take a look at what a definition of a thought partner is. So a thought partner, according to Forbes, is someone who challenges your thinking, causes you to modify or change your paradigms, assumptions, or actions, and has information or a way of thinking that provokes you to innovate or otherwise leads to value creation in your business, career, and life. So as you work to become this great thought partner for your mentee, it's important to keep in mind that there are some mistakes that we make as mentors. So I am going to share a link with you. Make sure that I have the right one here in the chat box. I would like you to open up this link and take about 3 minutes to read through this, 3 to 4 minutes to read through this, and think about what is something that resonates with you. So as you finish reading this article, I see a couple of you have already jotted some ideas and thoughts in the chat. Head on over there and add your ideas in there. So far we're seeing it's easy to take on much of the responsibility. It sure is. Let me just help you with that. I'll do that for you, right? And Lori shared that as an experienced team, we just want to tell them instead of letting them struggle a little bit and work through that, because we, or you as deans, can also be very busy in your own role. Like, let me just help them along here. Like, let's move this a little bit faster, right? But they need that time to get through those ideas. There is a difference between the coaching and mentoring. Sarah, do you want to add some more into the chat? And Nikki also said coaching versus mentoring. And the value is not in giving the answers, but helping them find the solutions that work for them. That really is it, Lauren. You nailed it there. And Kelly, some personal reflection. That's great. That's exactly what we want to be thinking about right now, is giving the solutions too quickly, right? We think, okay, they're not getting it, or I'm just going to tell them really quick so that we can move along and talk about something else, right? But that's not helping them to grow. Melissa is, wow, getting to know the person to better support them. Yes, very important. Tiffany's saying, I'm a problem fixer. I know the importance of having them find it, but I have to make myself stop fixing the problems. I have the same problem, Tiffany. I'm right there with you. Let me help you. I can save you, right? But that's not our role in this situation. Unless they are asking for something easy, right? Like, how do I, I'm going to use the thing again, put this in the classroom framework. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that. I don't need you to try and figure that out and type things in incorrectly and put our teachers in a panic. But not providing solutions, but guiding them to their own solutions, again, through really good questioning. You're the colleague and not their coach. So important. You are not evaluating them either. That's why they should feel great to come in and speak to you, right? You are not evaluating them. Yes, that line about feed themselves instead of me feeding them. The poser of questions as opposed to the problem solver. Yes, and I'm very excited for some of the learning that I've put in this mentor learning track for you, because it will focus on that, Corinne. Oh yeah, but wait, right? I think we can all relate to that. Wait a minute, let me share this piece. I know I need to put the pause button on myself sometimes. Yes, and avoid taking it on and answering the questions. Allow processing and build the trust to open the door for more genuine conversations to help both parties grow. Love that. And I love that statement, colleagues, not coach. That is great. We need some shirts. I'm a fan of shirts all the time. Thank you, everyone, for sharing out in the chat box. And so, as you all have stated, we're just going to sum up our thoughts here. As a mentor and a thought partner, when you're eager to provide, stop it. You are not the problem solver. It's not your problem to solve. You're just helping someone to solve that problem. When we take on too much ownership, then we take the responsibility for their problem. But again, it's not our problem. We don't have to fix it, right? So we want to ask questions. How can I assist you? That doesn't mean that I'm going to do it for you. How can I get you through this? And then coaching instead. Remember, You are a mentor because your director picked you. It's not like I said, let me just put all these deans in a hat and I'll just pull names out. No, your director specifically requested that you become a mentor to help somebody in their cohort or within our organization. So be confident and continue to ask those follow-up questions. Sally, I saw your shirts comment. I have so many shirts, so many shirts. But when we do these things for our mentees, we become their thought partner. So yes, it's important to be a buddy, but we want them to grow and we want to keep them with us. All right, so one of the ways that we become a great thought partner is by building that positive relationship. So right now, I want you to think about what are some of the best practices that you're currently using in your meetings. What are some of the things that you do? Go ahead and jot those in the chat or raise your hand to unmute and share. Asking questions about personal life and then checking in. Quick emails. Okay, in general so far, listening more than we're talking, being fully present. Yeah, it's hard because we can get distracted because you're in a very busy role yourself. Starting out with some good news, asking questions about them and following up. Ooh, Heather, yes, that work-life balance. Aren't we all trying to seek that out in our own lives? Not always bringing your computer, just sitting and talking, being available, but understanding that they are also busy, allowing them to set times that are best, having those personal connections. See those again. Ooh, check-in texts. Good. LaDondra, mood meters like my squirrels today, right? Emails to check in and give them a few weeks to get under their belts before starting the scheduled meetings. These are all some great practices. And thank you to everyone for sharing. Oh yeah, not a checklist agenda. Very good. Natural conversation. And allowing them to share. All right, so let's take a look. So if we were to have an agenda, does not have to be a checklist agenda though, we would want to make sure that we're talking about the purpose. Like why are we meeting? Why do I have to meet with you? I already have other people in my building I can talk to. Why, right? So talking about that, I'm here to support you. I'm another voice, and especially if you're in another building, it gives them another person to talk to and a different perspective. So a lot of what was just shared is this, the getting to know you. This is the time when you build trust, when you ask them about their personal life and what things are going on, right? And then you share something of yourself as well. Also setting norms. So when are you going to meet? Are you going to meet once a month? Are you going to meet bi-weekly? Do we have some new deans that maybe are a bit more frantic and they need some more attention, which is okay. Maybe they want to talk to you on a weekly basis, or you have a check-in by text every other week and then a face-to-face. So that's up to you how you are going to establish that meeting cadence, but it's important to share that. This is one of the most important pieces, I believe, of this meeting agenda, is the most pressing mentee concern. You're there to listen to them and to help ask them the questions and to get to the root of what's going on and how can you assist them in being their thought partner to come up with some solutions, right? So what is your most pressing concern? And then you have your next meeting. When are you going to meet to check in with them? So if you guys have talked and they say, well, I'm going to go and have a conversation with so-and-so. How many times do we say that and then we don't do it because it's hard, right? And we're nervous about it and we don't know how the person's going to feel. So setting those, okay, when we meet next time, I want you to check in with me on this. You're my accountability partner. Ask me how I'm doing with this piece. Did I meet with that teacher I really didn't want to meet with because she makes me nervous and she's been here longer than I have, right? So having that agenda helps us to tackle these components and get to the root of what is going on with our mentees. So as a mentor, you of course would be asking open-ended questions, providing think time, paraphrasing to clarify and show understanding, which we're very good at that now. So what I hear you saying is, right, offering those non-judgmental statements about leadership behaviors. We were all first-year deans at one point. We were not perfect, right? So their mistakes will be made, and that is okay. It's okay. Let them know these things happen. Let's talk through some ideas of how to improve next time, or if you were in that situation, the next time, how might that look different, and getting them to process through that, or maybe do some role playing. And then you're going to continue to model those positive interactions. So again, we're not asking open-ended questions when they're looking for that interactive classroom framework, but when we're thinking through a problem. Remember, it's your job as a mentor to stay curious and continue to ask those questions. Don't wing it. Have a plan for when you go into meeting with your mentee. And now we move into part 2 of our meeting, networking. So this is going to be your time now when you will get to network with other dean mentors. So in just a moment, I'm going to place you in a breakout room. And while you're in this breakout room, I want you to talk with your fellow mentors about some things that are going well in your mentor practice. So I am going to give you, I believe, about like 8 minutes to chat, so everybody has a turn to share. Let me set this up. I don't know how many people we have on here. Okay, looks like we're going to do about 8 rooms, and I'm going to put you in 8 minutes. Okay, so again, what are some things that are going well in your mentor practice? I'll see you back in 8 minutes. Oh, and have one person either ready to share out or type something in the chat. So we'll have at least 8 ideas from your groups. All right, see you shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Get back to our PowerPoint here. Okay. All right. So as requested, I ended a little early because as I was visiting everybody's rooms, it looked like there was more than enough time in there. So I hope everybody was able to share, had an opportunity to share and check in on one another. I like that too. That's really important that we check in on our group. So if one person from your group could go ahead and share something, either that you shared or something that someone else in your group shared that you thought was amazing, and maybe you're going to take that back to your own practice now, go ahead and jot that in the chat box. Or you can raise your hand to share out loud if you prefer that as well.
I'm just going to share out if that's okay. So I don't.
Oh yeah, I love it. Thank you.
So our group, we had a great conversation. Just what's going well is, initiating contact with the people we're mentoring and really getting to know them. Something that I shared out that I learned last year on these calls was, I sent mine to a little gift card at the end of their first week. I know someone last year talked about how they did it for Christmas just to kind of give them a little pick me up. So I actually did that at the first, the 2 I mentor in Colorado. So they were way before me. And so on that Friday, I just sent them saying, you made it through your first week. And so I know in my group, we were talking about that could be a good end of the first month. Like, hey, send a $5 Starbucks gift card, like you made it, just something small that kind of celebrates with them.
It's so nice. I love that idea. Plus, who doesn't like a nice beverage, right? To get them going. That was really kind of you, Tiffany. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else want to share? I have some comments in the chat that we'll get to.
In our group, oh, let me turn my camera off.
It turns it off when we come back into the main room. So thank you. Hi, LaDondra.
We had some very similar startup things, from emails, like a welcoming email, a very quick Google Meet and Greet type of thing. But one of the questions that we all agreed on was, when to back off, how much is too much pestering if they don't respond, but they seem eager, for the program. And then we were all thinking of doing some type of, as a next step, follow up, some type of questionnaire or survey that's fun, that may not even have anything to do with work, just to give them time to just breathe a minute.
I love that, Ladondra. I like that you had just a Google Meet just to say hi and get to know them. I think that's really important too. Like, here's who I am, here's who you are, nice to meet you. We're getting ready to learn together. So I like that too. Thank you for sharing. And let's head on over into the chat. We love seeing the eagerness to learn from our mentees, and they're not afraid to ask questions. Good. That means that they're building that trust with you, Lori. So I love that. The willingness of the mentee to take part in the process is super helpful. Yes. I had read a book over the summer that showed her some great question prompts to elicit more specific answers rather than "I'm good." Jessica, do you mind sharing the title of the book if you haven't already? I'm just getting into the chat to scroll here.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was able to read The Coaching Habit. It's called Say Less, Ask More, and Change the Way You Lead Forever. So it has 7 questions that you really focus on asking your teachers. And so I was using that for my Dean Mentor too.
Yes, Jessica, I don't know if you saw the excitement in my face, and here I go, right? Don't jump in. That is one of my absolute favorite books, The Coaching Habit by Michael Bungay Stanier. And actually, you're going to see a little piece of his in our mentor learning track because he has more books, and the amazingness just continues. So yes, that's what I was wondering. Thank you for sharing. Again, it's The Coaching Habit. Awesome, awesome book. Great book. And then Erin shared, in North Carolina, we were able to know who our mentees were before Summit, so we could have a chance to connect with them while they were there and introduce ourselves. Oh yeah, that's nice. That will be one of my goals for next year too, Erin. I think that would be a great opportunity. We just have so many new deans that are coming in later. So that is a little bit challenging at times, but that's one of my goals to work toward next year, because I think that would be nice for you all to meet them in person if possible. And Megan from my group shared it's been nice to share resources with her mentee, and the mentee is also sharing resources. I think this allows the mentee to feel like she's contributing. Yes, and it goes back to that piece of we're not just giving the knowledge and asking the questions, but we can also learn as well. Yep, Michael Bungay Stanier. All right. Well, thank you everyone for sharing and for getting into that and helping to grow our group. We're now going to take a peek at topics. So, not to be confused, but this is what the new deans have gotten. So there have been 2 in-person sessions. There was one in North Carolina, and then there was one in Michigan. And now some of our late hire deans, I think we've had 3 or 4 that just have joined us. So some of you are getting some more mentees. So if you ever are at a point where you're saying, I can't take another mentee, just let me know. That's okay, right? We also have to have that balance. But the new dean, so what they received at the New Dean Summit, which was the first day of New Teacher Summit, is information on how to build relationships and relational leadership, right? So how can you continue to build those relationships with the people that you support? Also talking about the leadership pipeline. You're no longer a teacher. Let's not clog the pipeline. What do teachers need to be doing? What am I doing now as a dean? The trust factor. Building that trust busters and trust builders. So speaking about some of those past experiences with them for you, could also be a topic of conversation. And then the famous one-on-ones, our O3s, right? So how they can use their O3 to continue to build relationships. So that's where they've been. There is one more in-person group meeting in September for deans who were late hires, and then they'll get into more of their learning throughout the year. Yes, Becky.
Hi, would it be possible, do we have access to that material that was shared with them so that we could come back around to it in our discussions?
Yes, you can actually see everything that's been shared with them through the Dean Live binder. So I was trying to link in the mentor learning track exactly where to go, but every time I link something to the Dean Live binder, it just goes to the Dean Live binder. So over on the left-hand side in the Dean Live binder, you'll see their cohort years. So it will say 2022, 2023, and you can click on that tab and it will show you everything, all of the content that they've received so far. Was there another question I thought maybe I saw? Okay, I'll just keep moving right now. And so, let's see. Okay, and so now we're going to take a peek at my little project here, which has been the mentor learning track. So I want you to go ahead and take a look at this mentor learning track and place what you notice in the chat box. The scope and sequence that teachers are given. Okay, what else? Open-ended questions that guide sessions. Yep, there's lots of questions in there. What else do you see? Dean training and mentor trainings are aligned. Yes, hopefully they'll be a little bit more aligned than they are right now, Nikki, because we're kind of following some of the meetings, but I think we'll get caught up. Resources are available. What else? Good, Natalie. I think it's really fun. Actually, that's an activity that I'd like you all to do for the next meeting. So if you're looking at the Dean Mentor Learning Track and you look at October, there's some learning for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the 5th column where it says empowering our new leaders. So that first link is actually a TED Talk with Michael Bungay Sr. because his next book, I shouldn't say his next book, it's technically his 3rd book, but the, what is it called? The Advice Trap. And so as you watch his TED Talk, there is an Advice Monster quiz, there's a manifesto, and I would like you to bring your Advice Monster, which when you are to our next meeting in November. So you have plenty of time. This is nothing you have to do right now, but yeah, you can meet Michael and just hear him speak and all of the wonderful things he has to say. He's hilarious because he's like, I know this is a book on how to not to give advice, and he's giving advice. He said, just go with it. All right, Casey says focusing on growth areas to help avoid the mentor traps. Yep, topics in the form of a question to promote conversation and thought. So yes, as you look across this mentor learning track, there is new dean content in the meeting dates that the new deans have, and that's over to the left-hand side of the document. And then you're going to see the mentoring topic. So a possible item that you can check on with your new dean. So it's okay if they are not, you know, talking about those things. If you need something to talk about, those items are there for you to check in on them with. All right, I'm going to put it back in the chat again. And then there is also mentor development for you. Lauren, were you able to find that?
Yeah, I was just wondering, like, is it in like a Google folder we can access? Like,
Yep, it sure is. It's in
Okay,
our
great.
mentor 22-23 mentor folder.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. And so with the mentor development, these are ideas to enhance your current practice and mentor meeting dates that are on there. Did anybody notice that this only went until October and you're thinking, wait a minute, we're in school until the end of May or end of June in some cases. There's a reason for that. The reason for that is I, of course, have a ton of ideas, right? I was a dean, I have been a mentor, was a principal, all of these things. So, of course, I have a ton of ideas, but I'm not the one that's in the meetings with you and your mentee and hearing what the mentee's needs are. I'm also not at your building to know what your needs might be. And so in order for us to grow our group, I will only be releasing like the next 2 or 3 months every time we meet, because I really want you to inform where we're headed next. And again, I have a ton of ideas, but this is and drive that learning together. And so in order to do that, I have a survey that I'm going to put into the chat. And please take a moment right now. I'm going to allow you to answer these. I believe it's like 3 questions. So go ahead and take a moment to answer those questions for me. Thank you so much. I am seeing the responses roll in. I really, really appreciate that. And so with that, we are at our launch. A mentor empowers a person to see a possible future and believe it can be obtained. And that quote is by Sean Hitchcock. And so again, for our next meeting, think about your advice monster and come prepared with what your advice monster is. I absolutely love it. Our next meeting is going to be on November 18th at 9:00 a.m. You should have a meeting invitation for that. And just a reminder, if you ever have any needs, are having difficulty getting in contact with your mentee, do not hesitate to reach out to me. And thank you again for taking that survey and for giving me a portion of your Friday morning. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend and get some of that relaxation time in your lives over the weekend. So take care, and until next time, again, if you have any questions, just reach out. Have a great day.